So we live in a world that's limited by the amount of money in your bank account, yet we are constantly told that money just cannot buy you happiness. But let's cut the shit here, because if you just look at Jeff Bezos' Instagram, does this rich fella look unhappy? And I think the answer is a resounding no. From expensive yachts to expensive space trips and even the most expensive relationship ever, Jeff Bezos is basically making a mockery of the whole money cannot buy you happiness motto. And Jeff's not the only one. Many others live this lifestyle as part of what is known as the world's wealthiest 1%. And if you feel like you want some of this action, well, you'll be surprised.
Surprise, mother...
You actually don't need $1 billion in your bank account to join this 1% club. In fact, you actually need a lot less than you think. The Cambridge Dictionary states that the so-called 1% are the richest 1% of people who are said to have the most money, property, and power in society. In the historical past, the 1% club may be considered to be royalty, emperors, or maybe even military generals. However, in today's world, things have changed quite a lot. The top 1% includes various new ways to actually gain entry. Various business moguls like Dana White and Jeff Bezos are in the 1% club. But there's also entertainers and sports people like Michael Jordan and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And how they gained entry to become part of the 1% club comes down to just one simple word: balding. Of course, I'm kidding, stop cutting your hair, but how you gain entry to this 1% club is easier than you think. According to Knight Frank, who's a research firm based in London, England, it would take you a whopping $12.4 million to become part of the 1% club if you lived in Monaco. It turns out that Monaco has the highest entry fee to join this lucrative club.
You should join our club.
Switzerland takes second place as the most expensive area to join the 1% club at $6.6 million. Australia skips into place at third with $5.5 million. And in order to be part of the 1% in America, an individual would only need a net worth of around about $5 million. And for my native Britons, it's about $3.3 million. Now, before you freak out thinking this is impossible and what is this bearded guy talking about, it's actually not impossible to join this club, and there's even a simple hack how to join it. So how do you do it, and what does one need to do to be part of the 1% club when it comes to an annual wage? Knight Frank also stated that a yearly income of $507,000 would be needed in order to become part of the wealthiest 1% when you consider annual wages, which didn't make any sense to me, because presuming an individual is earning $500,000 a year and they were investing wisely, one would expect their net worth threshold to be much higher than $5 million. So let's tackle that first before I come on to the hack. You see, the rich and famous in society have a similar problem that the lower and middle class incomes face, and that is lifestyle inflation. And that said, speaking of inflation, if you could help me inflate the like button, I'll stop using cheesy references to reference the like button in the future. But lifestyle inflation is simply when someone spends more money as they earn more money. For example, let's say there's a bloke called Andre, and he's earning about $50,000 a year as a magician. He pays $1,000 a month in rent and spends about $500 a month on general expenses like food and Pokemon cards. Now let's assume he got a big promotion and now is a master magician, and his annual income doubles to $100,000 a year. Proud of himself with his newfound disposable income, he decides to improve his quality of life, which is apparent across pretty much every promotion. He improves the quality of his lifestyle by moving into a better house. His rent now has doubled to $2,000 a month, and he starts indulging in more expensive activities like buying NFTs, cryptocurrencies, and even shiny Pokemon cards. As a result, his monthly expenses have also doubled and are now $1,000 a month. The simple result is that even though his yearly income has doubled, so has his expenses. So proportionately speaking, he's in the exact same financial position he was right at the beginning in percentage terms. And although the top 1% are amongst the most financially literal and capable people, data suggests that they also fall prey to this lifestyle inflation. It is worth noting, however, I am a believer that when someone gets a big promotion, that they don't do a Graham Stephan and start penny pinching. You should reward yourself as you climb the income ladder, just do it on a smaller scale. So this got me thinking, how does one take advantage of higher income while at the same time improving their quality of life without succumbing to the pitfall of lifestyle inflation and still gain access to that 1% club? 3 words: shave your head. I'm joking, stop shaving. It's actually geographical arbitrage. I lied about the 3 words. Tim Ferriss, whose surname has way too many S's in it, wrote the book called The 3-Hour Workweek, and it delves into the idea that most people actually do not want to be rich. In fact, they just want freedom and a better lifestyle that comes with actually being rich in the bank. They want to lounge on beaches, drink espresso martinis, and jet set off to a foreign country pretty much every weekend, and most importantly, have the freedom and time to be in whatever location they actually want to be in to live life to the fullest. Many of us assume that to do this we need a massive bank account, we need a huge amount of money to live this lifestyle, but the truth is, with geographical arbitrage, you can have all of this without having $1 billion or even $1 million in your bank account. Simply put, geographical arbitrage in the context of this video involves the exploitation of a high income in a much cheaper country. Let me explain it in simpler terms. Let's assume you take a remote position in the United States, which pays, according to salary.com, an average yearly income of about $35,000 US. Not a massive income. Now, if you were to stay in the United States, pretty much in any city, you would struggle to churn out a good wealth pot. But if you move to a different country where the general living expenses are much lower, countries like Thailand, Portugal, or maybe even the Philippines, you would get a much better deal. For example, to join the 1% club in the Philippines, you only need $57,000 US. Nations with lower income thresholds can offer you a much better deal, so that $35,000 US will still remain the same. However, what's known as purchasing power parity would actually increase, which means the power of your dollar would go much further. Let's say $1 in the United States is of course $1. But what would cost you $1 in the States might only cost you 25 cents in, say, the Philippines. Meaning, from a quality of life perspective, your income has now quadrupled overnight. And it doesn't stop there, because some of these countries offer tax-free visa incentives to remote workers to move out to them. For example, Bali just began offering a 5-year tax-free visa to anybody who's remotely working. So what does this actually mean in the simplest terms? So in our previous example, on top of quadrupling your purchasing power on your dollar overnight, you're now paying even less taxes. In some cases, no tax at all. Once again, boosting the value of your annual income. And with this extra cash, this extra money, you can finally start living the lifestyle you've dreamed of. You can finally take the plunge into that side hustle or business, which will in the end, in the long run, give you a much higher earning potential, and maybe even more freedom than you ever desired. So to join the 1% club, you have 2 options. One is the simple way, just earn over $500,000 US a year. The second one is to just move to a cheaper location. Don't fall into the trap that being frugal is enough to generate a lifestyle you want and deserve. It won't get you to the rich club alone. In fact, being frugal might actually harm your wealth in ways you never expected, and I'll explain that in this video here. Thanks for watching, cheerio.